Hello everybody, and welcome to the first video of Module 1 of Overwhelmed to Organized. As you can see from the title screen, this video is all about developing mindful awareness, and the module as a whole is about developing the joy of daily life, evaluating your to-do list, and using mindfulness to amplify awareness. So this is our first step together, developing mindful awareness. Whether you've practiced mindfulness before or meditation before, or if this is a totally new topic for you, let me just start by telling you that the benefits are very real and tangible. And if you're curious to know more about that or recent research on this topic, just send me an email and I'm glad to send you some research. And I can say from personal experience and from working with dozens of music teachers and performers that mindful awareness is the most important tool that you can develop in life, both as a professional musician and music teacher and also just as a person. So with all that said, let's take a moment to consider, what does normal life look like? What does your daily life as it is now look like? For most of us, we rush from one task to the next. We get up in the morning and we start working and we do one thing and then we do another thing and then we do another thing and then we run out of energy and then that's it. Or maybe we get back up and do something else. But as we rush from task to task, we are often never really present in the moment. We never come back to the present. And we immerse ourselves instead in a constant stream of tasks, meetings, activities, and most of these are usually fairly stressful events. With that way of doing things, jumping from one thing to the next, we can legitimately get a lot of things done. So there are pros and cons, but the problem arises when exhaustion starts setting in, and it always does. So because we go full tilt, usually without pausing for even a moment of silence, stillness, or reflection, we quickly run out of steam, which leads to feeling flustered, exhausted, and unfocused, which leads to feeling anxious and when burnout starts to creep in. So just to recap that, nonstop action, working nonstop, going full tilt, without silence, without reflection, leads to exhaustion, which in turn, over time, leads to burnout. Makes sense, right? So fortunately, the solution is fairly simple, not always easy, but simple. And that solution is mindful awareness. And that's where we're starting today. So mindful awareness is the most essential practice for calm focus, which enables, as you can see here, excellent organization, which empowers connection to your purpose as a teacher and as a performer, which in turn enables high achievement, sustainable joy, and long-term success. All sounds pretty great, right? So before we go farther, it's important to define what is mindfulness, because this is a term that in our current culture is everywhere. It's even become a buzzword. And that, of course, is not necessarily a bad thing, but it leads us to need to define what I mean by mindfulness. So mindfulness, very simply, is a state of being in which we are fully immersed in the present moment, rather than being lost in thoughts, worries about the future or past, or other distractions. And through mindfulness practice, we can gain crucial awareness of what's happening, both in our external lives, the things we do, the people we interact with, the tasks we take on, and in our internal lives. So how we're feeling, what's important to us, and how to take care of ourselves. Now, the process of gaining mindful awareness takes a few steps, and it doesn't involve running from thing to thing to thing nonstop. So there's a three-step process that we'll be working on together for gaining mindful awareness, for developing mindfulness. And those three steps are centering, developing concentration, and noticing without judgment. So noticing what's happening without judging it good or bad, just observing it. With these skills, we can then act responsibly. We'll talk more about that later. In the next videos, you'll learn key methods for working on each of these steps: centering, developing concentration, and noticing without judgment. So stay tuned for videos, the next couple videos in this series. With mindful awareness, we can gain the power to respond and take action with intention. And this is crucial when it comes to getting organized in a sustainable way, organized when it comes to tasks and activities, and when it comes to long-term organization, goal management, and ultimately joy. Okay, so the opposite of mindful awareness involves, rather than feeling centered and calm, feeling constantly rushed, feeling unfocused and worried. Rather than developing concentration, step 2 here, We're instead constantly jumping from one thing to the next in an out of control way. And rather than noticing what's truly happening without judgment, step 3, we get lost in uncertainty, confusion, self-doubt, and negative self-talk. Then, rather than calmly responding to whatever's going on in our lives, we find ourselves reacting in a sometimes out of control way. So these are the times when we're not practicing mindful awareness, that we unintentionally commit ourselves to a gig or a teaching commitment that we don't really have time for because we felt rushed to make a decision, didn't accurately analyze our actual full schedule, felt like we had to do it out of guilt or duty, and mindlessly convinced ourselves to just do it. So these are also the times when we just react without thinking, that we say things we don't mean to our students. We say things we don't mean to our colleagues and friends and family, reacting rather than responding mindfully. So in this week's activities, in the next few videos, we'll talk about them. These will help you to take big steps toward consistent mindful awareness. Plus, by the end of the module, you will have taken stock of your current to-do list and have started evaluating your schedule, which is the next step. So more on that later. And for now, continue with the next video. See you there.